Hi there. Welcome to my podcast, which is currently undergoing a name change. I used to be considered Knits and Beads podcast, but I'm thinking about changing it to Watch Me Whip. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not, but I think it's kind of kitschy. My name is Lorelei Erdo. I'm a jewelry designer who knits in her free time. I am podcasting to you from upstate New York, and this is a predominantly knitting podcast. And I'll talk maybe a little bit about sewing. So today's episode, I'm going to show you a finished object, a pretty major work in progress, a little bit of sewing that I finished also last week, some favorite things, and some new acquisitions. It's going to be a fairly short episode. I don't have too much to share, but I figured it was enough to talk to you about in a full episode. So it'll probably be about 30 minutes long. That's typical. And at the end, I'll talk a little bit about some life stuff too, but I'll try not to go on and on about all that. So, elephant in the room is I cut about 7 inches off of my hair last week. It was just kind of a last minute decision. I knew I wanted to get a haircut. I had been needing one for a long time, and come to find out it had been about a year since I got a trim. So yeah, definitely needed a haircut. If you remember, it was probably down to about here. I'm still adjusting to it. In fact, yesterday a little bit of a haircut regret, because I'm still learning how to kind of style it, because when it's that long you don't really style it. I usually just throw it up in a bun, or for a few of my podcasts I think I might have like brushed it and tried to straighten it or tried to curl it in some way. When I cut all of that off, that weight, you can see I have a little bit of natural curl or wave. It's I tried to make it a little bit more consistent by throwing in some mousse today before I blow dried it, and actually don't mind it today, so I just kind of pulled the back up. I do have kind of a long bang here, like here. It's about that long. It's long enough to tuck, and I can pull it back if I need to. So all in all, a good haircut, I suppose. I'm just still learning how to make it work for me. But anyway, that was kind of a big thing that happened, so I thought I would mention it. You probably don't care about my hair. I'm sure you don't care about my hair, but I figured I would mention it because it's probably obvious that I got a haircut. Dishaw Ceramics. I forgot to mention this last week in my podcast. I bought this from Dawn when I did the Sharon Springs show. She was about 2 booths away from me, and you would have died if you'd walked into her booth. It was so beautiful. I could not walk in and not walk out with this. So this is my new teacup. I'm a huge tea drinker in the winter months or in the fall. It's kind of a coolish day, so I figured I could get away with it. This is a perfect size for tea. I find that a lot of my mugs are a little bit big, and when I do just a tea bag, it feels a little watered down. So this is kind of a great size for that. And I'm drinking this, and this is something I just discovered recently. We're fortunate enough to have kind of a health food grocery store in the area. It's called Peter's Cornucopia, and I was checking out the tea the other night when Joe and I went looking for something else. And I found this mountain chai. It's a black tea with some spices in it. It's a black tea, an Assam black tea with cinnamon, ginger, cloves, cardamom, nutmeg, black pepper, and Chinese star anise. Also has roasted chicory, natural flavor, and vanilla bean flavoring in it, and it's beautifully delicious. I am drinking it with just a smidge of milk and a little sugar, and it is my favorite little treat right now. So, especially in the afternoon. I don't normally record my podcast on Saturday, but it is a Saturday, and Joe is working today, so I have the house to myself and figured I would do a podcast. Then it doesn't take away from my work week. And I'll talk more about that later, but I've gone back to the gym, so. All right, so I'll just talk about knitting. That's probably why you're here. I finished this a couple of days ago. This is quite possibly one of the best things I have ever knit in my whole life. And I can't even show you the whole thing in one shot because it's huge. Oh my God. This gorgeous thing is called the Camp Wilkerson Shawl by BoylandKnitworks. Caitlin Hunter is the designer. I'm not even really sure how to wear it. But whatever. It's nice and warm. It's knit with a DK weight. I've talked about this before in previous podcasts, but to go over it again, this actually I have it on backwards. This is Quince Company Phoebe, which is a new base that they just started dyeing. It's a DK weight, and the color is Pluto. This is Nice and Knit, DK, Dockside. Is it Dockside? Yeah, I think so. This is Plucky Knitter, Wintry Mix, Primo worsted, but the weight seemed the same to me, and the gauge is the same for the other. Words are hard today. The weight seemed comparable to the DK weight, so I went with it. This teal is High Tide, I think. Nice and Knit DK. Okay, so loved this process. It took about 2 weeks to finish. I knit it on a size 7 needle, circular needle, I believe. And I actually used some metal needles that I got from Amazon that were literally like 3 cents. Because I got a whole set of these circular needles on Amazon. And they're some Chinese company, I believe, that makes them. They are not fancy, but they did the trick. So I am certainly not a needle snob. Let's just say that. I'll use whatever I have available, and I think I had other 7-inch or US 7 needles in another project, and so I just used those, and they worked great. I got through the teal, which is an eyelet kind of pattern, And I got 3 rows to the end of that section and kind of was running out of yarn, and I didn't want to risk it, so I ended up stopping that section about 3 rows short, which I figured wasn't going to be a big deal. When I got to this section, I realized that I was running low on this light gray. And I had emailed Caitlin, and she realized that there was a discrepancy in the pattern, that it said in the pattern that you would need approximately 200 yards per color, and that actually wasn't true. You need 230, at least 230 yards to 250 yards per color. So she has gone ahead and fixed that in the pattern. So if you plan on knitting this, just be sure to have at least 230 to 250 yards of your DK weight per color. One of the best things about this pattern is the edging, and I'm not going to give that away, but it looks almost like an I-cord, but it's not. And but one of the things I did, when you switch colors, you end up having to snip the yarn and, you know, add in your new color. So I had quite a few ends to weave in, and I ended up weaving them in to this edging, and that was not smart, because after I blocked it, all of the ends popped right up out, and I have been trimming them non-stop. So I should have weaved my ends down into the body. You live and you learn. What are you gonna do, you know? So beautiful and so soft, and I freaking love it. So if you are looking for a nice project, this would be amazing. I can see, you know, I'm not very adventurous, so when I saw this on Instagram, on the BoylandKnitworks Instagram feed, she shows it in these exact same colors, except this light gray is a pale pink. But I could definitely see this being knit up in all kinds of fun colors. Like, what about a really speckled yarn for the big sections? Actually, you could do each of these bands a different color. You could do a different color here, a different color here, a different color here, a different color here. You get the idea. Like, it could be really multicolored, or it could be just 2 colors, which would be really cool. What if I had just left this light gray and this light gray and just done the dark gray and striping? That would be so cool. I just love that look of like real graphic with some pops of, yeah. I think I need a shawl pin for this because it keeps slipping off. I don't really know how to wear this. No idea how to wear this. I'm probably going to cut this part out because this is kind of ridiculous, but I, can't figure out how to put a shawl on. I kind of just like it like this. I'll just do that. My hair is already bugging me. Okay, so anyway, I'll probably cut all that out because finished object, check. What other finished objects? Well, I finished this. I'll talk about this little bag. So do you remember, I don't know, a week ago or 2 weeks ago when I talked about this fabric that I had got? I think it might have been my last episode. This nice thick kind of fabric I got at Joann's, and I wanted to do a bag, and this is the outcome of that. So basically I did a little dot kit, and this is a great little travel bag. I wouldn't put your shampoo in here because it's fabric on the inside, but You could line a bag like this with some sort of vinyl, and then that would be great, but I just lined mine with quilting fabric, quilting cotton. So I like this idea of like, I'm real classy on the outside, proper, classy, but then I am wild and crazy on the inside. It's not wild and crazy, it's just floral, but it's nice and bright. I want to use this fabric for a regular style project bag with that same idea of fun colors on the inside. So I'm going to work on that maybe this week or this weekend. We'll see. Sorry about that. My husband called to make sure I was feeling better. This morning I woke up very lightheaded, and last night when I went to bed my heart was doing its AFib thing, and it's so weird because yesterday I had my cardiologist appointment, just a regular physical, and you know, she was asking me how I was doing. I'm like, great, I'm feeling great. Of course, last night when I was eating dinner I started feeling like my heart started skipping, and it does this weird thing where it like beats real fast and then slows right down, and you should have seen it on my Fitbit. I wear this all the time now because I'm back to the gym and I want to keep track of my steps. But this is the heart monitor also, so my heart rate was going like it went all the way down to like 64 and then went all the way up to 91 and it kept going up and down like that, because that's what happens. It's like I was feeling my heart rate and it was like all over the place. It just, you can't even really count it. So anywho, that's all I had to say about this. This is such a fun and easy project. I was anxious to see how this fabric would sew up just because it's so thick, and it's almost got like a line. It almost has like a faux suede feeling to it. I wish you could touch it. It's really cool. I didn't use any interfacing on this either, just because the fabric is so nice and thick. So that's what I wanted to do. Maybe later this weekend, do a regular zip top project bag, you know, like a wedge bag, and see how that played out, and do like a fun interior. So that's finished object number 2. Check. Take a drink of tea. That tea is so good. All right, let's talk about my work in progress. So you probably, if you watch a lot of podcasters, there are a few that are gearing up to do an October colorwork knit along. And the Nice and Knit girls who dye yarn in Connecticut, I've talked about them before. I use their yarn in this, actually. They announced on their blog that they're going to do a poncho, pretty poncho knit along, which, love that. I've been wanting to knit a poncho forever. And I have quite a few favorited in my Ravelry favorites. I don't know what you call that, but so the idea is to do knit along and make one of their ponchos. They have a couple. They have a Kate's poncho, which I've had favorited for a while. That's more of a solid color, but it's got seed stitch, yo, and I can't. Just the way I knit, I'm throwing with my right hand, and I'm not very good at the purling part. So to do a lot of knitting and purling and knitting and purling, that's why I hate ribbing. I just can't do that one. But color work, I can do. I did the bobble hat last year, and I love that. I love that hat. Oh my gosh. Last winter I did it, and I didn't mind doing the color work. So I figured I would do my do color work for this particular knit along. And alright, so I bit the bullet and I cast on a couple of days earlier than the October 1st start. So sue me, I was excited. So I'm still going to enter it. I'm thinking it'll be okay. Works in progress. I actually am only doing it for the knit along. So obviously I'll make sure that the rules in other color work knit alongs will allow works in progress. But I've gotten quite far on this, and I'm just loving it. I can't even stand how awesome this is. So here it is. Let me see if I can show this to you without it falling off the needles. So I'm hoping when this blocks out, it will block out a little bit bigger, because as you can see, I'm kind of a wide-shouldered gal. So I'm going to really block it like aggressively so that it will fit me. I am knitting the largest size, but you know, when you do color work, it kind of, all the floats kind of cinch up that section, and I'm just worried it's going to be tight, but we'll see what happens. It's still pretty stretchy, so you can see my floats. This was so easy. I did this in 2 days. It was so easy and fun, and I want to knit all the color work things now. So the colors I used, this is Neighborhood Fiber Company, and I bought this last year at Rhinebeck. The white is Sand Dune from Nice and Knit. The dark purple, which you could barely see here because I didn't really use very much of it, but Django, that's enough. That is Mrs. Crosby Plays, and I believe it's Steamer Trunk, and that's the yarn I knit my I knit a vest in it last winter. The burgundy is from Scandinavian Weave and Knit, which is a New York dyer, and I got it at a local craft fair. And the light pink is Madeline Tosh, and I think it's Cherry Blossom, maybe, that color. And they are, well, the Sand Dune is DK. The Neighborhood Fiber Company is a worsted. The Madeline Tosh is worsted. I think the Scandinavian Weave and Knit is also considered maybe a DK, but it's very similar. And the Mrs. Crosby's, I think, is considered a worsted weight. So they're all pretty similar in weights. I think it'll be okay. Django. Sorry. Django is being vocal. He's wanting to tell me he wants some attention. Monkey, please stop. So I have 2 skeins of the Neighborhood fiber. Let's see if I can show them to you here. The balls are getting kind of squishy. This one's just a tiny bit darker, so I am alternating skeins, and I'm glad I'm doing that. It's creating this nice striped effect, which is kind of cool. I started out doing the alternating every 2 rows, but when I did that, it was kind of creating this really noticeable, yeah, you can see it there. You can see the holes a little bit. I don't really know how, I hope that blocks out nice and flat, because that'll stink if that's real noticeable. I mean, I could just have that in the back when I wear it, but That's not happening anymore now that I've decided to go and alternate every row. I've done the last several rows alternating every row, and it's a little bit less noticeable. Sorry if you can hear the cat. He's very loud. Do you want to say hi? Come here. Come here. Come here and say hi. Say hi. This is Django. He's one of my black beauties. His brother is also black, but his brother doesn't have this white on his chin. Show them the white, Jingy. Show them. No, you can't see it, but he's my good boy. Oh. He's just really needy, that's all. Okay, go. Now lay down and stop. Okay. So, I really am loving this project. It's so addictive. I cannot put it down. I'm like 2 inches away from being done with the body, and then I can do the ribbing on the end. There's 1x1 ribbing, kind of like on the collar, along the bottom edge. And then I can block it, and then I can wear it. Hopefully it fits me. Oh my God. I'm really, really excited. So I will be entering this into their knit along. There is a group on their Ravelry page. It's PrettyPoncho's knit along. You can hashtag your poncho projects, but there's also a sign up page. Make sure you go and check out the Ravelry group or their blog where they post a link to the sign up, because I think their knit along is for their ponchos. The lucky thing about mine is I'm doing the color work one, and I can submit it to other color work knit alongs for the month of October. So if you are thinking about doing a poncho for the season, I recommend doing this one. It's awesome and I love it. I love it. My foot's asleep. So I'm not going to show you my other work in progress. It's the Vertices Unite Shawl by Stephen West, because I'm still working on that first wedge. Why it's taking so long, I don't know. I still have probably 9 or 10 more repeats before I get to the end of that, and then I can add in the next color. So maybe next podcast episode I will show you the progress on that. Gearing up to do the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. The first clue comes out October 7th, so yay. I showed you the colors that I chose last episode if you want to see that. I also have started a Ravelry project page for that project if you want to look at my colors there. I'm pretty excited about that. So we talk about a couple of other things here real quick. I wanted to show you this beautiful set of beads I just got this week. These are cactus-inspired beads from my friend Jody Marshall, and they're lampwork glass, and these 3 beads are actually hollow. They're so cool. So this is kind of like a cactus branch. I love the ridges in those tabs with the little cactusy bumpies, and then there's another little cactusy kind of branch. I did a swap for some earrings for these, and they're just awesome. I love them, but I wanted to show them because they're so cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. And I talked about my favorite tea right now. Some yarn I got this week. I haven't been buying very much yarn, but I really wanted to support a fellow podcaster. You might have heard of her. Her name is Devin, and she is the host of the Francofille Knits podcast, and she has an Etsy store also by that name, Francofille Knits, I believe. And I bought a skein of her fingering yarn because I just love the colors of this. It looks a little bit different in her Etsy store, I have to be honest. I was a little shocked at the vibrancy of the colors when the yarn came, but very happy. I mean, just look at this. Is my favorite spot right here. Oh, so pretty. The colorway is Chateau, Neuf, and this is her chaussette base, and she speaks French and I do not. So it's 463 yards, 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, and handcrafted and hand dyed in Indiana. So yay for US products. Francofille Knits, definitely check her out. I don't know what I'm going to make with this. I'm thinking this will end up in a shawl of some sort or a hat. I've been wanting to do a sockhead hat. I have another skein of yarn that's from the Cyborg's Craft Room, which I don't know if you knew this, but the dyer behind that store has passed away, sadly. So I only had a chance to buy one skein of yarn from her. She did beautiful, beautiful yarns, and it's very sad. I don't know what happened. She's very young. I believe she was in her 30s, maybe even in her 20s. No, I mean 30s, I think. So I'm not sure what happened, but it's sad. But I have a beautiful skein of fingering yarn, and I have actually I bought it in hopes of making this sockhead hat, but I'm a little bit intimidated by the sockhead hat just because it's got all that ribbing and then just miles and miles of stockinette. And as I'm working on the stockinette section of that poncho, it's really tedious because after a while it's just so monotonous, knitting in the round forever. I feel like I'm not making any progress at all. I keep measuring it and I'm just like, oh my god, I still have like 2, 3, 4, 5 inches to go. But eventually I'm going to do it. So anyway, Francofille Knits. And the other new thing that I got this week, which I'm excited to show you, is one of my friend Nancy's brand new little notion pouches. Check out Nancy's shop. It's roundrabbitextra.bigcartel.com, and she has a smaller version, coin purse, also, where she has pieced together different fabrics from her stash. I already have stuff in here. My scissors fit in here, which is really exciting. Because they're kind of bigger. I don't have some of those little tiny ones yet. I've got my favorite lip balm in here. Beekman, 1802. This is their tinted goat's milk. It's luscious. Love it. I think it's mandarin that I got, the flavor. Tinted. I can't even read that, it's so small. I need some glasses. I got little post-its in here. You never know when you need a post-it. Paper clip. A little vintage button on it. Emergency snack. Just in case you need a sweet. And my little notions tin box. Keep it real. Keep it real, people. Stitch markers in there. And my little emergency crochet hook tool. I cannot tell you how many times I use this tool. A lot. It's my favorite tool. So this is lined too with some pretty blue fabric. It's quilted. beautifully sewn. She uses a nice variety of fabric and batik. Nice little zipper. She goes the extra mile with these little zipper ends, which I know they are a huge pain to make. Backside. Yay! Definitely check out her shop. I'm hoping she makes bigger bags in this style. That would be awesome. Hey Nance, bigger project bags. Come on now. We need the big size. This is good and all, but I need to, how about sock size? That would be great. Although I don't knit socks, but might be good to have for one skein shawl maybe. I've bought a couple of things this week that I'm excited to get next week. Or soon-ish, I'm not sure, because the first thing was a pre-order. Pre-orders are open for the new Making magazine that's put out by Carrie Bostic Hodge. I never know how to say her name. If I ever meet the girl, I will ask her. makingzine.com if you want to check it out. The newest episode is called Fauna. The first episode was Flora. It's a good magazine. It's really, really nice. So I'm looking forward to that. I went ahead and ordered the pre-order for it. I also ordered some yarn from On the Round. I follow her On the Round on Instagram, and she showed some knitting in progress with one of her bases. Actually, I'm not sure if it's what she's knitting with right now is the DK weight or the fingering weight, but the colorway was Mavis, and I fell in love. So I went and bought 2 skeins of fingering yarn in the Mavis colorway, and I'm so excited to get it. It's just beautiful. 2 podcasts I want to mention before I let y'all go is, one's a YouTube channel and not so much a podcast, and not about knitting whatsoever. It's called I Mom So Hard, and I binge watched all the episodes in one evening and peed my pants laughing. It is so funny, and I don't even have kids, but these 2 girls are hilarious. If I lived in the Midwest, I would definitely go and see their show. They do some sort of like tour where they do like a live show, which I bet would be amazing. I Mom So Hard. Check it out. You can thank me later because it's so funny. If you need a good laugh, definitely check that out. And I literally just found this podcast like 5 minutes before I started filming. And I'm looking forward to going and checking out more of her podcasts. But I was watching episode 7. And the thing that drew me in was this girl the background is just a white wall. And she's wearing a black and white striped top and big hoop earrings with pom-poms on them. Like pom-poms in multicolor. Oh my God, just for the earrings alone, I watched her podcast. It's a crochet podcast, believe it or not. Potter and Bloom Crochet Podcast. Go ahead and check her out. I don't know her name yet because I literally just found her. But I kind of zipped through a couple of parts of her podcast and I really, really enjoyed it. She's very, very fun to watch. Nice, awesome personality, upbeat, good energy. I loved it, so I can recommend that to you. And when you have time to sit down and watch another podcast, because we should watch all the podcasts. And I love finding new ones. So, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and sticking through another episode with me. And if you're a new viewer, welcome. And I hope you come back again to see what I'm working on and progress I've made on my projects. I try to do an episode at least once a week or once every week and a half at this point. So I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye. Before I go, I forgot to talk about my life stuff. I don't want to make a big deal about this because whenever I make a big deal about it, I end up like falling off the wagon and whatever. I've gone back to the gym. I went to the gym for a good long spring season, the year before last. So I went every day and tried to get about 10,000 steps in a day. That was my main goal. And my main goal was to lose weight. So I did. I ended up losing about 25 pounds, which made me very happy. I've always been between a size 14 and 16. But I was at the high end of 16 and going up. So I needed to do something. And so I went to the gym and I lost the weight, and then summer hit and I was able to wear shorts comfortably, and that was like really great. And who wants to go to the gym in the summer? So I stopped going. So then last fall hit, I didn't go back to the gym. The winter hit, I didn't go back to the gym. And just increasingly over that time period got more and more depressed and more anxious about not going. And that anxiety and depression happens to me probably every winter, but I've come to realize that one of the things that helps me is when I can get out of this house for a little while, because obviously I work from home and so I'm here a lot. Just getting out and seeing people helps me a lot, and exercising helps me a lot. So finally, after talking about it for months, went back. And luckily I have a buddy to go with me. My neighbor and friend is joining me, and we went every day this week. So that was a huge bonus to have a friend with me. I'm very proud that I went every day. I went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I may go for a walk later today just so I can keep up the momentum. And tomorrow, hopefully. And I'm not doing anything major at the gym. I say I go to the gym. I walk on the treadmill for an hour. That's it. However, I am doing the cardio version of that. So there's a lot of incline and decline, up and down throughout my hour walk. And I'm going at a pretty quick clip at about 3.5 on the treadmill. I don't know what that is, if that's miles an hour or what, but I'm getting about 3.35 miles in every morning during that time period. And so by 5 o'clock, when I've sat down to dinner with Joe, when he asked me how many steps, I'm usually at that point at 10,000, over 10,000 steps. So that's a very good place for me. I'm gonna just keep trying to keep that pace, and yeah. So it's after only 2 days of going to the gym, I could feel my mood improve dramatically, even just after 2 days. So I know it's a good thing, and I'm going to keep doing it, and hopefully I'll just keep feeling better and better, and in the process probably will, drop a few pounds, which that's a bonus also. So I haven't been too unhappy with my weight. I haven't put on a huge amount since my hiatus, but it definitely helps to just, it helps also, I like to eat. I love food. I love food. I love going out to eat. I love cooking at home. Joe is actually more right now on a weight loss plan, so he's kind of concentrating more on low carb. So I do eat whatever he eats for dinner, so my meals for dinner have been low carb. But I think that's okay, because throughout the rest of the day, I don't concentrate so much on that. I just concentrate on getting to the gym and my 10,000 steps a day, and then breakfast. Sometimes I eat eggs, and sometimes I eat cereal, and sometimes I like yogurt, and so I'm just kind of doing whatever I have or whatever I feel like eating. And the same thing for lunch. If there's leftovers, I'll eat that, and if not, I'll have, cheese and crackers, or whatever kind of little snacky thing I can find in the house. And I don't like to concentrate so much on what I'm eating. As long as I am maintaining exercise, I feel like that's a huge thing. Now I know that eating crappy and then exercising, it's kind of like cancels each other out. You kind of have to do both. And I kind of am, because I am kind of cutting out quite a bit of carbohydrates, when typically I would eat carbohydrates for every meal. So I'm cutting out carbohydrates for one meal, which is good, I think. Trying to drink more water, which I also kind of feel like that helps a lot too. Helps my skin. It helps all kinds of things. So I just wanted to say that that's what I'm doing these days. So thanks again for listening. Talk to you later.